I know that last Sunday, you all recognized the teachers and the children that are now headed back to school. It looks like it may be another, at least semester of spending some time in person and sometimes online. We're not sure how this year is going to go. But either way, I don't envy children today. There's so much information to take in. And I know there's a lot of new and improved methods and technology to help them learn, but that's just a lot. And children and adults alike, we just have more information available to us than in any other time in human history, and it's literally right at our fingertips. There's practically no piece of information that you can't just look up on the internet. If you have any specific questions, you can find an answer or a lot of answers or pages and pages of answers to the point that it can be confusing. And don't look up your health issues online. That will just make you feel even worse. So talk to your doctor. But we can get information when we want it, and yet somehow it doesn't seem to be making us much wiser. And they say that with age comes wisdom. I think that's partly true. To some degree, after life has pushed you around and just confounded all of your expectations, you've learned something about how to live in this world. But we don't always end up wiser. And it's surprising how stuck in our ways we can get. We don't always end up wiser, but there is hope. There are possibilities. The author and researcher David McRaney points out that we're really pretty good at not learning when we don't want to. We tend to think, of course, we will incorporate new information into our thinking when our beliefs are challenged with facts, right? No. Actually, the truth is that when our deepest convictions are challenged by contradictory evidence, our original beliefs tend to get stronger. Studies have shown that once something is included in your strongly held beliefs, your mind tries really hard to protect them. They call this confirmation bias. People are inclined to see what they expect to see and conclude what they expect to conclude even before they have encountered the information. So when someone tries to change your mind with contradictory facts, the backfire effect kicks in. Your brain is working doubly hard to maintain your position. There's a reason we are like this. This is how we are. The same reason that we tend to let compliments just go past us, and then we struggle and we focus on all the things that are criticism against us. Our ancestors paid more attention to and spent more time thinking about the negative stimuli than they did about positive. That's because those who failed to address those negative stimuli, they didn't last long. In a dangerous world, you have to stay focused on the negative possibilities to respond quickly to threats. And unfortunately, we have carried that into our lives even when we are not in danger. We're still alert to the threats. So when we read or hear ideas that fit in with what we already think, we don't have to spend a lot of energy on thinking about that. But when we get threatened with new facts, we spend more mental energy trying to prove those facts wrong. And the process then forms deeper neural connections in our brain, so it kind of backfires. And we end up building new memories that make those original beliefs stronger. We have a tendency not to learn something new when we are focused on what we think we already know. That's why it's hard to develop wisdom, to stay open to new possibilities. And sometimes it feels hopeless. It may feel hopeless when you're trying to convince someone you love that maybe they're not right. It's painful. And it is the way we are, but it isn't just the way that we are as humans. The good news is we can learn new ideas. We can begin to change our perspectives. We can grow in wisdom. but it's not easy. It takes time and it takes efforts. It requires a change in the physiology of our brain when we assimilate new information, when we're willing to see the world in a new way. This truth about the way that we think also says something about wisdom. We'll be talking about wisdom more as we look through the Proverbs in the weeks ahead. But wisdom doesn't come naturally. It takes effort to truly gain wisdom, to become a wise person. And I really think that's what the image of wisdom in Proverbs is trying to get at. The passage we read today, the life choices of gaining wisdom or living in foolishness are told to us in the images of women who are preparing meal for a guest. First, wisdom has built a large house, an open house. She's formed 7 pillars, making it strong and safe. She's prepared a meal, slaughtered the farm animals, cooked, set it out with her own wine. She has set a table for a multitude. This is Sophia Wisdom, who has previously partnered with God in creation and now is the host of a great banquet. She builds the banquet house, and it seems that the whole purpose of her building is hospitality, to host a banquet to which the entire world will be invited. Wisdom has carefully prepared, worked skillfully, and invited others to join in, to feast at this table. And if they do, they will walk and live in understanding. I think something that is significant about this image of wisdom is the effort put in, the energy put in, the attention, all with this motivation to care for others. Alan Bremer reminds us that it is easy to get information, but wisdom, on the other hand, is something very different. For wisdom is like learning a skill where you have to develop muscle memory. We often don't think about our brains as a muscle, but they are. And this is what athletes and musicians strive to achieve in their long hours of practice, doing routine after routine. This kind of muscle memory doesn't happen overnight. It has to be learned. It has to be repeated. So how then is wisdom gained? How do we develop wisdom like a muscle? I think the first thing we have to do is pay attention, to what is getting our attention. When there's so much information out there, so many marketers advertising their products, so many books and blogs and people and causes that are calling us to follow, we need to pay attention to where our attention is going. In our other reading today, Paul encourages the early church with very similar words. Be careful how you live, not as unwise people, but as wise, making most of the time. And then he says, because the days are evil. I think he means because time is short, and it's going by fast, and it's fleeting. And we tend to waste time when we think we have plenty of it. But then when we realize how fast it is passing, when we are willing to face our mortality, how limited our time here is, then we will want to spend it wisely, purposefully, with all the meaning that we can give it. So first, we pay attention, and then we ask more questions. Albert Einstein said, any fool can know, the point is to understand. He said, it's not that I'm so smart, but I stay with the questions much longer. I ask questions and I stay with them. It's going against the way our minds want to work. We want to just reinforce what we know. But stay with the questions and be open to new possibilities. Paul says, understand what the will of the Lord is. Ask, what is that for me today? What is most important to me? What do I have to offer the world? And then what do I need to learn? How do I need to prepare? Our vision of wisdom is one who prepares. What is worth spending my time on and my energy on and my attention on if I'm going to make the most of this life that I've been given? So pay attention and ask questions, and then build wisdom with joy. That spiritual muscle memory is developed through repetitive but also joyful action and interaction with God and with others, reinforcing this wise and wonderful life that you are building. And Paul's next suggestion is good. He says, do not get drunk with wine, but be filled with the Spirit. He didn't say don't drink wine, because everybody did. That was the safest thing they had to drink at the time. It was the best medicine available at the time. But maybe he was saying getting drunk might ease your pain and make you feel happy for the moment, but that's kind of the effortless way. Instead, sing, make melody, make music, because now we understand what he was trying to get at, that singing changes our brains. Our neural activity and experience change when we're involved in song, and especially when we're involved in song together. We know that it enhances a state of mind. It gives us an increased ability to learn new things. I don't know if you do, but I play classical music in the background when I'm reading, because it softens my thinking. It opens my mind to learn new things. So all of this is available to us in music, in meditation, in chanting psalms, and even in saying our prayers. And finally, Paul reminds us to do all this and to approach life and learning with gratitude. Paul tells us, always giving thanks for everything in the name of our Lord. We shape our own experience by what we bring to it, by how we receive what comes to us, how we are in the habit of responding to what is before us. So we can pay attention even when we feel threatened by differing opinions. We can calmly listen and seek to understand. So maybe our question for ourselves and together is to ask, am I pursuing a life of wisdom? Or am I squandering my life on that which does not satisfy? Together as a congregation, I think we ask these questions over and over. If we are embodying a mature faith, have we settled for less than we intend to be, or are we open to the Spirit of God teaching us new things each and every day? Now, the end of summer may be a good time for self-assessment, for recommitment to wise living. Maybe choosing to accept wisdom's invitation into this wonderful home, this feast of riches, of wisdom in the presence of God. But now, together, let's listen to a song of praise and end our time singing.